From our special guests, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is here. We're going to ask the governor to come
Thank you for doing this. I want to just say to the councilwoman, I got you. Don't worry about it. We've already been looking to identify funds to be able to help. One, make sure there's adequate security for Edward Waters College. We are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people. Your policies caused this! These guns are on your head!
Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you, we finna put parties aside, cause it ain't about parties today. A bullet don't know a party, so don't get me started.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a story that is a prime example of why race relations in this country will never, ever, ever get better. Okay, in my opinion, I'm just keeping it 100 with you because there are a group of people who simply just don't want race relations to get better, no matter how hard people try to come together in moments where people should come together. They should unite across racial lines. There's just some group of people who enough will never be enough, and it doesn't matter because this narrative of white supremacy and racism, systemic racism in this country, is too profitable, right? It's too lucrative, and they're never going to give up that money train. So therefore, it doesn't matter what you do, okay, particularly if you're white, to show some type of racial unity, it doesn't matter. You're still white, and therefore it's not enough, right? Nothing will ever be enough. And that is what's happening here with Ron DeSantis, as he showed up to a vigil after the horrible mass shooting that happened in Jacksonville at the hands of a gunman, a psychopath who happened to be white, and he went and shot up a Dollar General because allegedly he was targeting black people. Now, it is clear and obvious that this shooting was racially motivated, at least based off what the narrative is right now. However, because Ron DeSantis called the shooter a scumbag and not a racist, the woke black activists are upset. Take a look.
And yesterday, Governor DeSantis in Florida facing audible boos at a Jacksonville vigil for the 3 victims. At the vigil, DeSantis called the gunman a scumbag. And Jeffrey Rumlin, a Jacksonville pastor who spoke after DeSantis, was very direct in his response. He said, at the end of the day, respectfully, Governor, he was not a scumbag. He was a racist. What's your response to that?
You know, for so many folks, the issue with that kind of language is that it places the onus on one individual and the actions of one individual, as opposed to a nationwide sickness of white supremacy in this country and the violence that it fuels. And so as long as he's a scumbag, or as long as there's a mental health issue, you don't have to engage with the idea that there are, co-conspirators online. There are co-conspirators who create legislation that divide in other people. There are all these other forces that are contributing to this kind of violence. But as long as it's the act of one individual is just a scumbag, then you don't have to take the true issue head on.
And I just want to ask you what you were thinking in that moment as you stood there with the governor as he did his campaign photo op with the victims and the community that was suffering.
Joy, I don't think I can let you know what I was thinking, because if I did, I probably would not be reelected. Just the anger and frustration that I was feeling, though, and I just felt like he had a lot of audacity to come there. And after he lit the match and fanned the flames and emboldened the individual to do what happened. Look, at the end of the day, the governor does not care about black people. He wiped out several minority access districts, black access districts, congressional access districts in the state of Florida. Me and Representative McCurdy led a peaceful sit-in on the House floor to push back against him doing that unconstitutionally. I was banished to the basement for a while, in the basement for with rats, because we have a vindictive governor. He punishes people, and that's what folks need to know, that he is hurting Floridians, and he cares more about becoming president. So can you imagine all the things that he's doing in the state of Florida, what he would do if he had the power of the president? Like, that's absolutely absurd. And it's important for us to go ahead and stop him in his tracks and really highlight the fact that folks are hurting.
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sick of these people. I'm so damn tired of these ungrateful. I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to cuss. Okay, I'm not going to cuss. This is why you can't please these people. This is why it doesn't make any sense to bend over backwards to try to get these people to vote for you or to be a part of the conservative movement, because they're not going to. It doesn't matter what you do. They're going to see you as an anti-black racist just because you're a Republican, right? This is a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for Ron DeSantis. Guys, could you imagine what they would be saying if Ron DeSantis said, you know what, screw y'all. I'm not showing up. I'm not going to be there. Could you imagine what they'd be saying? Oh, well, Ron DeSantis doesn't care about black people. Ron DeSantis didn't show up because he hates black people. They'd be saying all types of crazy stuff if he didn't show up. So when he does show up and he does show leadership in that situation, right, which is what you're asking him to do, oh, well, Ron DeSantis doesn't like black people. Ron DeSantis hates black people. So again, no matter what he does, he hates black people. That's what you're telling me, right? That's what you're doing. Because the man showed up, he pledged $1 million to the HBCU that was targeted, $100K to the families. He's doing everything that you can ask him to do as governor, despite being a so-called racist. Because if he was a racist, if he was a white supremacist, he wouldn't be there. But in exchange for that, he gets criticized because, well, he called the shooter a scumbag. He didn't say the shooter was a racist. As if calling the shooter a racist, stating the obvious, is actually going to bring any of the victims back to life. It's not going to bring any of the victims back to life. Sorry. Oh, it's a photo op for his campaign. He's only doing it for his campaign. So again, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he doesn't show up, he hates black people, right? If he does show up, then he still hates black people. And he showed up because of a photo op, not because he actually cares about the families or the victims that lost their lives in this incident. He doesn't really care about his own people. So at this point, what is the point of showing up? No, I mean, serious question, like, what is the point of giving a damn about black people losing their lives if you are a Republican or a conservative? What is the incentive? If when you show up, all they're going to do is tell you that you hate black people and that you're not going far enough, even though you have pledged financial support, you're not going far enough because you're not calling the shooter a racist. What's the point? He might as well skip it, right? He might as well not show up the same way Joe Biden doesn't show up to East Palestine. The same way that Joe Biden didn't show up to the Nashville Christian school when, you know, you had Christians that were murdered by a transgender shooter. The same way Biden never showed up when they were mass shooting hate crimes committed against whites, in which you had a black person going a rampage, killing and hunting down white people because they're white, blowing their brains out because they're white. Biden didn't show up. No Democrats showed up. So again, in this situation, why? I'm serious. Why should any Republican or conservative show up in a situation like this? If this is how you're going to get treated, if this is how people show appreciation for a governor stepping up and showing leadership, then again, why show up at all? I guess you can make a moral argument that regardless of how they feel, regardless of how they treat you, you should show up anyways because it's the right thing to do. But hey, in my opinion, I don't see this as any different than black people who get killed every single day in mass shootings by other black folks. What's the difference? Why show up to this one if you ain't showing up to all those other ones? Because at the end of the day, it's all political. Because all of these so-called black activists, they don't give a damn about black lives. They don't give one damn about black lives. All this is political for them. It's a photo op for them. Because I guarantee you in that same city, Jacksonville, I guarantee you have multiple mass shootings of black people that happen regularly. And none of them care because it's being done by a black person. The same way they don't care about the mass shootings that happen every weekend in Chicago. There's literally a mass shooting every weekend in Chicago, but the media doesn't give a damn because they're being committed by black people. They don't care. So again, it's all political. They only care because, oh, well, there's a racial angle to it. This is time to go out here and to shuck and jive for virtue signaling points and to talk about how white supremacy is such a danger in this country. Even though statistically speaking, as a black person, you are much more likely to be killed by a black person than a white person. Okay? As a white person, you are statistically more likely to be killed by a black person than a black person is to be killed by a white person. But yet they keep telling us that, oh, white supremacy is the problem. That's not the problem. Just because you have a one-off situation where you have a white person who's a lunatic who decides to kill black people and his motivations more than likely were racist, okay? That is not an indictment on all white people. That's not a testament. That's not evidence that, oh, white supremacy is such a big problem in this country, because this happens so few and far between. Doesn't happen a lot. Again, I can name just as many incidents that have happened where we've had hate crimes done against whites. Mass shootings committed against whites because of race. So don't sit and try to tell me that, oh, well, this only happens to black people. No, it happens to everybody. Everybody at some point has been targeted because of their race. It happens. So when you come out here and you talk about white supremacy this, white supremacy that, demonize white people, you're just creating more division in this country. You're not bringing people together. Always having to racialize everything is not bringing people together. It's dividing people. And again, the irony here, the crazy part is that it doesn't matter what if he would have came out here and said everything they wanted him to say. If he would have came out and called this guy a white supremacist, said that he was a racist, said this, said that. If he would have said all that, it doesn't matter. They still would say, oh, well, you just said that because you thought that's what we wanted to hear. He don't really mean it. So yeah, maybe he's better off just not even showing up, right? Maybe he's better off just not giving a damn about these people, right? That's the incentive structure that they're creating. Again, these people are responsible for the most racism in this country. I'm so serious. These people are creating so much racism and hate and vitriol in this country. It's ridiculous. And then they want to deflect and try to blame everybody else for it when it's like, no, you people are the ones that are responsible for a lot of the hatred. You really are. I feel bad for Ron DeSantis. I really do. I mean, the guy is a great governor, especially when it comes to natural disasters and emergencies. He's done an amazing job leading Florida through that. He's done some great things for that state. And here we have him being torn down over some silly stuff like this. Because again, these people are not interested in any type of racial unity. They're not interested in coming together and trying to move past. No, they're not. Their sole interest is to stir up as much racial hatred as possible so that they can continue to remain relevant. As long as they're victims, as long as white supremacy is a problem, right, in their world, that's how they maintain their relevance and power. And that's what we have here, guys. This is why the race conversation is never going anywhere. It's a circular conversation. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.